exploring the paranormal. So, hunker down, get your favorite drink ready. I'm having some peach tea myself. Now I'm ready. The first time that I ever went on a real ghost hunt was in the beautiful city of New Orleans. It was wild, to say the least. New Orleans is such an interesting city because it has such a rich history. Very, very rich. The architecture is beautiful. The food is amazing. The music, fantastic. It's such a cool, magical place. And before actually visiting the only place I've ever experienced that was a little version of it was at Disneyland. So to see these streets myself with my own two eyes was fantastic. But let's get on with our story. So I found a real ghost tour that would allow you to use actual ghost hunting equipment. And it began with a guided tour. And after that, they give you free roam time to wander about the property. And the building that we were exploring was relatively small, but it had served as a hospital, and it had also served as a slave quarters, and then was converted into a apartment for a very brief time. If you hear that, that is my dog getting comfortable. So, I was very excited, to say the least. The tour began late at night, and we showed up, and there were 4 people, including myself, that did the tour this evening, so it was a very intimate setting, which was fantastic. The tour guide was a fabulous, what did he call himself? A voodoo Catholic voodoo priest. I think that's what he called himself, which is interesting all on its own. And it was located near a voodoo shop. I believe it was behind one. So he began by bringing us into the first floor, and it consisted of 2 floors. Now, the first floor was 2 rooms, but it was open. The only thing that divided the 2 rooms was a large fireplace in the middle of the room. And you could walk all the way around the fireplace, and you could also see right through it. And there was a restroom on this floor as well. So the guide began to tell us about the history and the specific spirit His name was Johnny. He was believed to have been a soldier that died in the hospital. And his personality was that of a prankster. And as the guide is talking about Johnny, his Mel meter, and if you don't know what a Mel meter is, I can look up the definition for you. Give me 1 second. I'm like, I know what it is, but to describe it to someone that does not know what it is, I could not. So, a Melmeter measures EMF and ambient temperatures. So, EMF, which EMF stands for electromagnetic field. I knew this, but I remembered as I was reading it. Okay. So it measures the electromagnetic fields around it, and when those fields increase, and when something touches it had a antenna on it. If I was to touch the antenna would not the antenna, but the device itself would beep. So as he was talking about Johnny, the device began to beep, and we were on one side of the fireplace in one of the room, in the room on, let's say, the right, and the Mel meter was in the room on the left side of the fireplace, and it began to go off, and our guide said, "Johnny, is that you?" And it continued to go off, and we were all just in awe, and he said, "Okay, Johnny, you can stop now. We know that you're here." And it continued. Just beep, beep. But just like a long one. Then, because it would not stop beeping, our guide said, "Okay, Johnny," and he had an accent, a southern accent, and he said, "Okay, Johnny, that's enough now." And it would not stop, and he said, "Johnny, I'm about to turn that thing off because I still gotta tell these people about this place before we start experimenting." And it kept going. So our guide, let's call him Michael. Michael then begins to walk towards the side of the room that the Mel meter is on. And all of a sudden, as he steps to the other side of the fireplace, it stops. And Michael says, "That's what I thought." And he turns around and proceeds to come to the side of the room that we're on. And the Mel meter begins to go off again. And Michael, as you can imagine, turns around and says, "Johnny, I'm serious now. That's enough." And it doesn't stop going off. So Michael begins to walk towards the Mel meter again, and it goes off again. I have never experienced something consciously reacting with a person the way that this spirit was reacting with our guide. And it got to the point, this happened a couple times, and Michael said, "All right, Johnny, that's enough. I'm about to turn that thing off. That's it. I can't take it." So he goes walking over to the device to turn it off, and it stops. ghost. So I had to go to the bathroom at one point during this evening, and can you imagine how terrified I was that I did not want this perv ghost scaring me or getting me while I'm trying to use the restroom in a very vulnerable situation. So that was downstairs. So we exit to the back area of this building outside. And outside there is a spiral staircase that goes up into the second floor. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is that while we were downstairs discussing some of the history down there, every once in a while you could hear what sounded like furniture moving upstairs, like a chair or a stool being pushed across the floor, or a slight creak as if someone had took a step maybe to this side or that. It sounded like the apartment above us was occupied. That was when he proceeded to tell us that no one was upstairs, and it was relatively normal to hear furniture being moved upstairs. So we walk up this small iron staircase, this little spiral, up to the second floor. And the second floor was similar to the first in that the divider between the two sides of the room was the fireplace, and you could walk all the way around it. The first part of the room was a tiny kitchenette and a couch and a little table, and the second part of the room had a bed and a dresser with some trinkets on it, and there was a restroom upstairs as well, but I was not going to use it. But upstairs, the energy was much different. I felt it immediately, and Michael, our guide, began to tell us the history upstairs. That, well, I guess not the history, but about the spirit upstairs. And the spirit upstairs was more of an angry spirit, and they couldn't get a clear read on who or what it was. It felt like a male presence, but they also were not sure if it was human. Yeah, so that's where I was like, okay, look, I'm here for the ghosts. I'm not here for demons. No, thank you. As I said in my last little story time ramble, I spent weeks on end reading about demonology and sleeping with my lights on for weeks and weeks at a time. I'm not here to mess with I'm not here to mess with this stuff. So the energy upstairs was a lot heavier, and I wasn't quite sure what to make of it. Michael proceeded to tell us that he had another group upstairs, and when he was telling them about this darker energy, one of the guys in the group yelled and began running towards the door. And he said, "What happened?" And the guy said that he had seen this face come out at him out of the darkness. And our guide had actually, on another occasion, seen this same face come out of the darkness. circle back, our guide, as you know, our fabulous Catholic voodoo priest, had a point reward system for the ghost. What am I talking about? He had a reward system for the ghost or the spirit, whatever was upstairs. When the ghost was good, he would put things on top of this dresser, the dresser I mentioned with the trinkets on it. It served almost as an altar. He would put things on top of the dresser. And when the spirit upstairs was being particularly bad, he would take things away from the altar. And when he would take things away from the altar, the energy would ramp up. I felt sick upstairs as he's telling us these stories. And I did not like the energy up there. It just did not feel right. So, as we finished, we began to walk down the spiral staircase. And we went back down into the first floor where I felt a lot better. And at that point, he took out more of the paranormal equipment that they had for us to use. And he showed us how to use it. So they had an obelisk, which allows spirits to put words onto a screen. They had cameras with night vision. They had recorders to try to get EMF recordings. They had malmeters. And then I believe there were a few like little balls and things. And he also had one of those radios that it was like a spirit box, but it sounded more echoey. So I don't know how familiar you are with the ghost scene, the ghost hunting scene, but there are spirit boxes where it sounds like someone is tuning through AM, FM radio stations. And there's also one that almost sounds like an echoey cave vortex thing, and he had one of those ones. Now I'm trying to remember what happened. We continued after we came downstairs to hear things moving upstairs. And we did some experiments downstairs. We used the spirit box. And we were getting conscious responses to questions. And I was just floored. It was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. And some people might think I'm weird for saying that, but it truly was, because the thought of being able to communicate with something beyond our realm or someone that is past, I just find that so immensely intriguing. And I also know that you need to be careful. And yes, we did some experiments. And he went to take us upstairs, and we had a conversation with him because I was uncomfortable going back up. And the amazing guide that he was, he said that's okay. Gave us some equipment. He said, don't do anything you're not comfortable with. You have to trust your instincts. So we stayed downstairs and continued to talk to Chloe. And we got a few spikes on. There was also an EMF meter. That dog sounds like it's in our yard. Hold on. is your favorite place to go? Or talk to them like a friend, not like a dead spirit. So I said, oh, sorry, gosh, things are coming back to me as I'm telling you this. So we were getting knocking responses. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about this. So we were getting knocking responses, and I said, because we were sitting there in the dark, just listening, and I said, Chloe, if you want to hear a joke, can you give me 2 knocks? And we sat in silence, and then we heard in the far corner of the room, but it was very faint, and I was like, oh my god. So I said, oh my god, what was this joke? It was really dumb. Hold on. Look at me looking all this stuff up. Oh, I said, what do you call a cow with no legs? Ground beef. And as I said the punchline, on the obelisk it said leg. It said leg. I kid you not. It said leg. Phenomenal. There were a few other things that happened, but there was something else that had come up. And I want to say that it had to do with another person in our group and someone that had passed away. But a word or a name or something came up that was very relevant to what she was going through, and she told us this insane personal story. And on the camera that we were recording with, because they give you the footage after, as she's telling her story, I saw orbs constantly, several times, coming out of her or going by her. And I like to think that maybe whoever this was that had passed, it was her little guardian angel. Crazy. So, as we wound down for the night, it's maybe around 2 in the morning, and our guide walked us out, and he said, if any of you would like, I can, say a prayer with you. You don't have to, but if you'd like to. And I was like, yes, excuse me. So we stayed back, and he said a prayer for us, to Archangel Michael to watch over us and protect us, and that nothing may come back with us. And we left. That night we stayed in a small inn near the French Quarter. And this is a historic inn. It is old, and it is also haunted. And oh my god, that night I believe that when you explore these things, you open a door. It's like opening your front door, and you live on a very busy street. And I opened my front door, first time. We went to New Orleans because following that, I took a cruise. So the next day was on a cruise ship. And I wasn't too afraid by that point. I had other things on my mind. But what a phenomenal journey. And that is what got me hooked. And that is what brought me here. So, yeah. I want to know about your ghost experiences. I might set up an email account or something if anyone is interested in sharing those. I would also love to read those as well. So comment below if you have a story that you'd like me to share. I would love to share it. And I hope you enjoyed my ramble.